I got my hands on a ton of concept images that could have been a part of IGI Origins. The sole credit goes to Neo, who has the ability to go sneaky peeky like and deliver us something that we could have never even imagined. Neo, you are one sneaky son of a... Now, we may have seen some of these images featured in the gameplay trailers, and some of these images can be found on artstation.com. But then we got a ton of unseen concept images. And looking at these, this makes me wonder that all of the gameplay trailers we've seen so far were only featuring a couple of missions from the whole game, which means this game was far from finished. So far that it could have rivaled Rockstar Games for the GTA 6 launch. So to give you an overview of whatever we have at the moment, we can see some locations and levels that were at least being considered to have them included in the final game. Then we have a few images showcasing the user interface, some of the weapons, some wear and gear for the main protagonist, and lots of other special things that you wouldn't even believe we got to know about. So stay tuned, watch the video till the end, and for more news and info, subscribe to the channel. I was following the IGI Origins development for a long time, and I've been watching those mission briefing videos as well. From that, it was clearly stated that this game was going to take more inspiration from the first game compared to the second. But what exactly was it about the first game that made it so unique and so loved throughout the years? The best thing about it was actually the environments. That cozy feeling we got by walking in the mountains, or that terrain backed up by a beautiful soundtrack. And looking at some of these images, I think they were actually going for that aspect again. Like these beautiful waterfalls, and what seems to be those cozy mountains that we were missing. Some of the missions included Japan as well. Not only we can see some Japanese architecture in the screenshots, but also we found this image, showcasing some Asian soldiers. Damn, I would have loved to fight these ninja-inspired modern soldiers. And then look at the interior designs. We can see that some of the pictures are actually stock images from the internet, but it's a concept art, anything goes. But what I like about this is the idea of fighting inside a Japanese colony. Robert Mallison was the concept artist for the game, so whatever we see here, it's basically his work. But he wasn't all about just beauty and nature, because we can see some of the scarier parts as well. Like some abandoned broken down houses, or maybe a scary looking Soviet military space. So this game was gonna have a combination of coziness, but at the same time some intensity, just like the first game had. Because take a look at these soldiers. I'm sure they're Spetsnaz, but fighting a fully armed guard. I think that would have been a new experience, unless if they make the game play like Far Cry 3. And the reason why I mentioned that game is because, what is this? Was I supposed to burn down a weed farm? We all know where that mission could possibly be inspired from. So does that mean we had some mission settings in the Latin American countries? Yes, we did. And I know exactly where. This is an image about a building. I'm not sure what this building represents. Could be a safe house, could be somewhere we have to do an objective. But see this? Yes, that's the flag of Cuba. So apart from the Soviet Union and Japan, we have some confirmation that maybe we were supposed to play the game based in Cuba as well. Then we have this picture. These were probably the posters and signboards that were supposed to be used throughout the game. And I tried looking if these people resembled a real-life personality, but no, I guess these are all fictional people. And from what we see here is that they were probably going for a dictatorship propaganda kind of storyline. So, from everything we gathered from these images, we can safely say that IGI Origins was going to be set in the Soviet Union, Japan, and Cuba. But that was the least interesting part of the video. Now I'm going to show you who the main protagonist was supposed to be, and everything we could have had for his arsenal and gear. This is Michael King, his call sign Regent, and seems like he was gonna have different styles for facial and hair, possibly depending on the region or the storyline, or could be that it's customizable. And I say that because we have so many different type of vests to choose from. Maybe we could even choose between the colors, even tattoos. And it was going to be different depending upon the winter or summer season. But let's make it more interesting. If you guys remember the IGI Origins reveal trailer, we saw Regent looking at the map in this room. That actually is a safe house. And these are the concept images for that safe house. And looks like we were gonna have the option to customize weapons. I can swear I have one of the same looking carpets in my house in a room. And what are these? Vehicles? Were we gonna have the ability to drive vehicles in this game? That's a big question mark. What is this? Point number 1 tells us that this is a safe house inside of a shipping container. That was expected for obvious reasons. Number 2 tells us that this is a small temporary bed. A place for Regent to rest in between assignments. You know what that means. It means this game was gonna have a save feature. To do that, we had to come back to this safe house maybe to save the game. Or am I wrong? 1980s IBM computer, that's kind of unsurprising. Map mission select. If the maps were going to be really huge with different locations far apart, then I guess we would have actually needed this feature. Cabinets for storage of ammunition and equipment. Pointer number 6 is a bit too confusing. It's just a stool to sit down on. There it is, weapon loadout selection screen. Just as I told you, I'm really not sure about this feature. I mean, it's supposed to be cool for a new game in the new era, but being a classic IGI fan, I don't think it's a feature that would make me excited about. And the darkroom style photography development station, so Regent is gonna cook some pictures in there. Then we have the equipment to work with, which contains this map computer. This is maybe a real-life image of what the thing is supposed to look like, with all these pointers highlighting the details. And then this is the concept for the game. They were trying different designs. This one looks a bit stupid, to be honest. This one is still a bit stupid. This one looks decent enough, but then this is the final result, what they got to. As you can see, this is slightly different than what the concept was taken from. The more interesting detail is what's inside of it. This is how it was gonna look like while using it in-game. This is how it's going to show us the objectives. These maybe are a few concept art for the logos, just like the one we have on the IGI 2 map computer. And then we have some user interface. I am not sure, but I guess these are the interactable signs. You know, something like these. These may be a similar concept to what that was. These are maybe the hazard signs or anything that's interactable. For example, we have like the med kit, the binoculars. Then I guess if, for example, we step into an electrical field, then this sign may appear. Same goes for the other gas signs and the flashbang signs. Then we have the weapons. I can safely say that these are the weapons included in the game so far. So we don't actually have an AK-47, instead we get this AK-74. The Dragunov sniper, but we have two different variants. The loud one and the silenced one. So for both IGI 1 and IGI 2 fans, this was a good news for you. I'm not sure, but that seems like the Makarov pistol. Then we have a 45 ACP pistol, it could be a Kimber 1911. The M4, but not just the M4. We have both the M16 and the M4. The MP5 as well has two different variants. I guess the A3 variant and the SD variant, so for the fans of both games, you are gonna be happy with that. Then we have a few different machine guns, an AKU, a USP, Scorpion pistol. For the shotgun, we do have the SPAS 12, which is iconic for an IGI game, but we have another variant. And then what is this? We don't have IGI's iconic jackhammer in the game because I guess it wasn't introduced in the early 80s. And for a sniper, we have a Gewehr 43. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. Gewehr 43. Some of the weapons I'm gonna leave to you people because I have absolutely no knowledge about them. The problem is this part. This is how the map computer was gonna show us our location, but the problem is, why does this map look so linear? It seems as this is some underground passage. That is probably why it has such a tight path. But for a moment it had me worried because I'm not really gonna play a linear IGI game. No, that is never gonna work. Capture Kishi? That sounds like a Japanese name, so this is probably objectives from a Japanese mission. Find the documents, locate the keycard, capture Kishi, and eliminate any enemy combatants. It was pretty obvious that the game wasn't going to be completely stealth based, but eliminate all the enemy combatants? That's exactly what we would have wanted. Or do that anyways, even if that wasn't the mission requirement, so I think it's a plus. But I do like the overall design and the aesthetic. The icons and everything that we see, it's just new but also feels classic at the same time. So this is where I would appreciate the team. Antimatter Games, Toadman Interactive. But I'm not done with the weapons yet, because take a look at this. This is an EMP grenade. An electromagnetic pulse grenade, which is supposed to be a flashbang but for any electrical equipment, probably for the security cameras to shut them off for a few minutes. I don't know, sounds kind of Splinter Cell-like. And then for the binocular, well, it's a scope. A completely new design, but this was something that was popular in the 80s. The real-life counterpart is called NSPU, or 1PN34. And for some reason, ChatGPT tells me that it is 9 inches long, so if ChatGPT is gay, then good for it. This seems as if it could be directly attached to any weapon you want. That means for the IGI 1 players, if you remember, sometimes you would put on the binoculars to place your crosshair onto an enemy and then shoot them from a distance. That's not gonna happen anymore because we can just shoot them directly looking through the scope. This is how the vision would have looked like, and seems as if it was going to have the night vision stuff. I'm not really a fan of night vision or night missions. I want to see some beautiful scenery and proper backgrounds. So if they look good with the night vision on, then I'm all down for it. And then look at this. We have seen this image appearing in the mission briefing videos, but below that, this is how the loading screen was supposed to look like. Now, from the full image, we can clearly see that this is the missile mission. And from what we recently saw from the Neonix upcoming update, Neo actually talked about it and told me that the loading screens were actually inspired from these. That means Neo already saw these loading screens somewhere and never told me about it, so Neo, you are one sneaky son of... Then we have another piece of equipment. This wristwatch thing was supposed to show me my health? I mean, I love the design and I love the way this looks, but would this work for a gameplay mechanic? Like, to check out my health, I always have to look at my wrist? I'm not really sure. On paper, it does sound like a cool concept, and I would probably be using this a lot while walking down looking at the wrist. But the question is, since mechanics like these have been implemented in so many different games in so many different ways, is it too late for this? Because since the last decade, we saw most of the games that get popular are because they are choosing to go back to the simpler roots. Something that identified their game in the past. But I'm all up for new mechanics and new stuff, so I guess we were gonna give this a green light, if we saw this for the first time at least. Just not sure how would it work out through the entire game. And then in the end, we have these texture images. We can see some of these uploaded on artstation.com already. So I guess it's not much of a leak, which means these are all the images I had. And everything I told you in the video is just speculation from my side. This entire video was just about showing you whatever I found, but I am going to make a follow-up video to this to explain what exactly do I like about it or maybe hate about it. And I would love to hear your thoughts about whatever you have seen so far. So that was all for the whole video. I hope to find some more news and content and everything IGI related, so keep watching the channel and hasta la vista, baby.